A service level agreement, or SLA, sets the expectations between a vendor and their customers. In this video, let's take a look at what SLAs look like. A service level agreement sets up the expectations of what the service level that will be delivered is. Let me give you an example of it. So for instance, let's say I have a cloud service and I want that cloud service to be up almost all the time. And maybe I expect it to only be down for a short period of time, even throughout the year. Maybe it's only 8 hours throughout the year. So what I'm going to expect is a service level that it's going to be up 99.9% of the time. And I'm going to look for an SLA, or a service level agreement, that says this service will be up 99.9% of the time. So who should establish a service level agreement? I'm not aware of any specific laws and regulations, although I wouldn't be surprised if they're out there, but I'm not aware of any specific laws and regulations that require an SLA. I do know that there are some customers that require service level agreements, and I've had to implement service level agreements because customers demand it. And I know that some frameworks have it built into the framework, so you might be creating one based off of that. But who do I recommend have a service level agreement? I think there's a couple different scenarios here. One is if you are working with a vendor, and then number two, you're working with your clients. So if you're working with a vendor and you rely on those services, and if those services went offline, it would hinder your business, then make sure you get a service level agreement. Make sure there's an agreement between you and that vendor, that service provider, so that way if they fall short, then there's some legal recourse that you have. Make sure you get it in writing. So now, when should you create a service level agreement for the services that you offer? Well, in that scenario right here, I kind of look at, if I'm providing services for customers, then I'm going to maybe have an internal SLA that sets the tone and the standard for my employees. So I'll have that internally, but I don't necessarily like to release that externally if I can help it. And the reason for it is because as soon as I release it externally and give it to my customers, now there's some legal recourse that they have. And so I'm just careful with who I release that to, and if they're requiring it, then I'll release it at that point in time. But it also, there is a reason to release it even if other people are not expecting that, and that is just to set the expectations. By having a service level agreement, then you can set some expectations, because maybe some of your customers have super high expectations that it's not reasonable to meet. And so setting out an SLA in that example right there can help alleviate some of the pain points you might have and make a more realistic expectation for those customers. Here's an example of a service level agreement. This is the service level agreement for Amazon Web Services, or AWS. And so if I scroll through here, we can see that there's a lot of different services, and I'm just going to take one of the S3 services here. So I'm take a look at this Amazon S3, and we can see here the expectation for this is that this is up 99.9% of the time or better. And if it goes below that, then there is a service credit. If there's anywhere between 98 and 99.9, they'll give me a 10% back credit on my bill. If it's between 95 and 98, then it's 25%. And if it's below 95%, then they'll give 100% of the money that they charge me, they'll give it back for that time period. So this is the agreement that I would have between Amazon Web Services and me if I were to subscribe to this service.